We often think that the great tales of humanity are relatively recent, that legends like those of Ulysses, King Arthur, or even the stories of the Bible emerged only in the last few millennia. But what if I told you that one of the earliest and most profound stories ever written dates back over 4,000 years? The Epic of Gilgamesh is more than an ancient myth. It is a testament to humanity's eternal quest to understand life, death, and the meaning of existence. Today, we delve into this timeless narrative to uncover its mysteries and explore why it still speaks to us across the ages. Imagine a world where kings were not just rulers, but near-divine entities, feared and worshipped as the earthly manifestations of the gods. Gilgamesh was one such king. He reigned over Uruk, one of the greatest cities of ancient Sumer, located in what is now Iraq. According to the clay tablets that record his legend, he was 2/3 god and 1/3 man, a being of unmatched strength and ambition. Uruk, his city, stood as a marvel of the ancient world. Surrounded by mighty walls, its grandeur was unmatched. These walls, said to be built by Gilgamesh himself, protected its people from outside threats and stood as a monument to his power. Yet, despite his might, Gilgamesh was not beloved. His rule was harsh, his will unchallenged, and his people lived in fear of his unchecked dominance. The citizens of Uruk, weary of his oppression, called upon the gods to intervene, and the gods answered. To counterbalance Gilgamesh's arrogance, the gods created Enkidu, a being as powerful as the king, but untamed and untouched by civilization. Before their fates intertwined, however, Gilgamesh remained consumed by his thirst for conquest and immortality, driven by a desire to leave a legacy that would never fade. His duality, part divine yet undeniably human, made him a paradox. He possessed boundless might and an insatiable ambition, yet deep within he feared the inevitable, death itself. He was not merely a king. He was the earliest embodiment of the heroic struggle against fate. His arrogance, his power, and his yearning for eternity make him one of the first literary figures to wrestle with the meaning of life. But he would not do so alone. Enkidu was coming. Before he met Gilgamesh, Enkidu lived in the wilderness, far removed from the trappings of civilization. He knew no kings, no cities, no temples. He ran with the gazelles, drank from clear streams, and hunted freely beneath the open sky. Enkidu was nature itself, a being untouched by the concerns of men. His body was covered in hair, his instincts sharpened by survival. But his fate would soon change. The hunters of Uruk grew frustrated with Enkidu's interference, as he freed animals from traps and disrupted their hunts. To them, he was not a guardian of the wild, but a menace to be tamed. And so, they turned to the temple priestess Shamhat. Shamhat, trained in the ways of civilization, was sent to draw Enkidu away from the wild and introduce him to the ways of humanity. Through her, Enkidu discovered language, culture, and a new awareness of himself. But his transformation came with a price. When he tried to return to his former life, the animals that once welcomed him now fled from him. He no longer belonged to the wild, nor was he fully of mankind. And so, he followed Shamhat to Uruk, where his destiny awaited. The city of Uruk was a world unlike any he had known. Its towering walls, its bustling streets, and the voices of the oppressed filled him with unease. It was here that Enkidu learned of Gilgamesh's tyranny. He could not understand how a ruler could wield such power with so little restraint. When he heard of Gilgamesh's practice of claiming newlywed brides for himself before their husbands, he was enraged. He vowed to stop the king. When Gilgamesh arrived at a wedding to enact this custom, Enkidu stood in his way. What followed was not just a battle of strength, but a clash between two forces, the untamed power of nature against the dominance of civilization. Their battle shook the city. Blow after blow, they matched each other, neither yielding. But in their struggle, they came to understand one another. Gilgamesh saw in Enkidu not just a challenger, but an equal. And Enkidu saw in Gilgamesh not just a tyrant, but a man in search of meaning. Their fight did not end in defeat, but in an unbreakable bond. From that moment, they became brothers in arms, bound by mutual respect and admiration. Together, they would embark on a journey that would challenge gods and shape